This is a brief tutorial of the game Distilled as played on Board Game Arena. Distilled is a game where you are creating drinks over 7 rounds, trying to combine ingredients and produce something that is worth the most money and the most points as you go along the track over those 7 phases. The various things that you can create and distill with your ingredients are listed over here. Um, you will be getting basic and fancy ingredients, upgrades, different bottles and barrels that you can use as you go. Some recipes allow you to age them and improve their points over time. And you have a special recipe as well that you can create based on the character that you choose at the beginning of the game. You'll have a choice of 2 here. This one has already been chosen, but you'll have a choice of one of 2, and each one of the characters comes with a special ingredient. We can see the 3 different players here all have different characters from either Americas or Europe or Asia. These all happen to be from the Americas. So what does it mean to create a drink, to distill a drink? Well, after you've gotten ingredients, we'll talk about how that works in a minute. You place a number of cards from your pantry into the washback. And to do that, you need at least 3 cards, one of each type of card. And we'll look up here. These are all the basic ingredients and various basic barrels. You need 1 yeast, 1 water, and then one sugar, and it can be one of these 3 types, either grain sugar, plant sugar, or fruit sugar. You will put at least one of each type in the washback. For each sugar that you put in, you also put an alcohol card, and then you shuffle the deck, the small deck of cards that you have. Then in the physical game, you would remove the top and the bottom card. It represents something thematic about the devil's portion and the angel's portion, or the head and the tail. Anyway, 2 cards are removed, and then you see what you have left. And if what you have left can fill one of these recipes, then you can bottle it and sell it for points and money, which then let you buy other ingredients and such the next round. Because when you use ingredients, except a couple of the very basic things, when you use those ingredients, they are gone for the next round. So the let's talk about the different recipes and what they mean and how you get access to them. So these are all the different recipes that you have. Everybody will immediately have access to moonshine and vodka, and then there's going to be a random set of 6 or 7 other recipes that are available, and they are categorized into bronze, silver, and gold, and they cost to learn those recipes, 2, 4, and 6 coin to learn that recipe. You cannot create it and sell it unless you have learned that. Now this specific character learns whiskey automatically. You don't have to pay for it. But also each character has a special signature recipe that you don't have to pay to learn either. And you can create that as one of your creations once per game as well. So you can see here the various ingredients here, and basically what it says is the moonshine, basically if you have no sugars left in your deck, if you have to put at least 1, and if that one is one of the ones that gets taken out, or if 2 of them get taken out and you don't have any sugars left after you take the 2 cards out, then you've made moonshine. It goes into a barrel of some sort. You always have a metal barrel that you can use and reuse. It gets you 1 point, and it gets you an extra 2 points when you sell it, plus whatever value of the cards that, of money on the cards that you happen to have. So the basic, um, most of the basic ingredients don't get you any money except the water, but the more fancy ingredients can get you more money and more points as you bottle and sell those. The vodka is a little better than the moonshine in that, but it requires you at least to have one sort of sugar left uh, in your drink after the distilling. And you put that also in a barrel, and you get one extra coin for it, and then you get 2 points for it. So no matter what happens, you're going to be at least able to make vodka or moonshine. But it's better to earn one of these. And you can see the various different uh, ingredient lists here. And whenever you see, like, this one says it requires at least one plant sugar, but you can't. But then that means you can't include any of the other sugars in there too. That says no including fruit sugars or grain sugars. This one has to at least have 2 grain sugars, but none others. This one at least 2 fruit, and so on and so forth. The more difficult the recipe, the more points that you get. And some of them, while these just are fine in a metal barrel, some of these more expensive ones require wood barrels or a clay barrel, um, or maybe specific bottles of wine or bottles for wine. And then there's also this symbol here with this uh, hourglass, and if it's crossed out, you can't age it, but if it isn't crossed out, you can put it in your warehouse and age it for a round. When you age it, you add some random flavor card to it, and you won't see until you eventually sell it, but then you don't sell that uh, this round. So while aging is good because it gets you extra points and money when you do sell it, you are losing that money that current round, which money you may need to buy more stuff for your next drink. So you have to kind of decide how you want to do that, because you can continue to age it in every round, and the more flavors that you add to it, the more points that you can get from it. Up to 15 points if you have 5 different flavors in it. Note though that if you don't sell it at the last round, then it won't count for nearly the points. You won't get all that you need from it. The other important thing are the labels. As you create, if you've learned the recipe, you've correctly got all the ingredients in, then in turn order, people can claim the labels. Here are the labels. Now there are 6 moonshine and vodka labels, and then there are only 3 of each of the other labels, and that's the number of players that there are. When they're gone, you no longer can grab those labels. Now you can still make the drink and get the points and the money from it, but what the label does, it allows you to place it on one of these bonuses here. And these are very good bonuses. Sometimes they're just money, or sometimes they give you free recipes, a free item, a free upgrade. There's lots of different things to do, or at the very minimum, they'll give you an extra 2 points if you don't want to take the bonus from that. So you're always trying to get one of these labels, because there's only 7 of these upgrades, and if you can get all 7 through the 7 rounds, it's going to help you out. But whenever these labels run out, then they're out. And so you are unable to, like, if there's no more gin labels and you make gin, that's fine, but you don't get to get one of the upgrades here. And so you could say, well, I could make gin, but I really need this upgrade. So instead of gin, I'm going to say I made vodka instead, because I have the ingredients still and I want to get that upgrade. So it's less points, but at least I get this upgrade that I want. So you can make that decision. And also, likewise, and just generally, if you've learned multiple recipes and you don't qualify for one of the higher recipes, you can always look for some of the lower recipes. And as long as you've learned the recipe and you have the correct barrel to store it in, or you have then you were able to sell it still and use it. So that's the main distilling phase. Trying to, adding stuff to your wash bag. Again, water, yeast, and then various sugars. And for every sugar, adding an alcohol card. Taking 2 of those cards out. If you take an alcohol card out, it doesn't matter. Um, if you take a water card out, it's not a big deal. If you take the yeast card out, it's not a big deal. The really ones that you don't want to take out are the the sugars, because those are what are making your recipes. And so those, so sometimes you'll put in extra things. If I need 2 grain sugars to make soju, then I'll put in 3, and that gives me a much better chance of it. And if I want to be completely safe, I can put in 4, though that's kind of expensive, but I could put in 4 and guarantee that I'm able to make soju. But maybe in this case, I'm going to put in 3, hoping, and I've learned this recipe, hoping that I can make this baijiu, but if I can't, then I can go back to soju or whiskey instead. So like you can plan ahead for that type of thing. All right. Before that distilling phase, you have the market phase. Everybody has a certain amount of money based on some starting money and based on the various characters that they give. And you are able to purchase up to 2 of these cards up here, and then any number of these cards down here. The costs are these little red tags, or if you hover over, you can see it a little more closely. Notice these are free, but you can only get 2, right? So you couldn't just load your drink up with as many waters as possible in order to make sure that you don't lose the sugars that you need. So, but these are the basic ones you can always get. So if you always, if nothing else, you can always buy a yeast and the water. If you had no money at all, put them in, make some moonshine, and get some money. That's not the best idea, but if you're in dire straits, then that is an option. These ones are special ingredients here. You can see they cost more, but they give you extra points, sometimes extra money, and so forth. These are upgrades. You can have up to 3 upgrades or employees in your distillery, and if you're full, you can always replace one if you need, but then you don't get those benefits. And so these will let you do various things to break or enhance your ability to play the game. And then these are special bottles or barrels that will let you get extra points when you sell your whiskey or gin or whatever drink that you happen to be distilling. Now the difference between a barrel and a bottle is that the barrel is needed to create the drink, but different types of barrels may be needed for different types of drinks, like we talked about with the various recipes. The bottles are needed to sell the drink. So if you are creating the drink, you always will put it in a barrel, and then if you store it in a warehouse, you can wait until you end up selling it to put it in the bottle. So these premium items, like there's no difference between the various bottles. You can put any drink into any bottle, and they give you various benefits for that. But the barrels are specific, right? The barrels have to be according to the different recipes. And so if here's the wood and the clay barrel, and they cost 3 and 4, so you may need to before you can make some of these more expensive drinks, you have to make sure you have that barrel or bottle, or that barrel that will match it. Otherwise, you can't make that drink. All right, let's go forward a few steps here, kind of show where that is. We talked a little bit about the market phase where you're purchasing, you're going around. Basically, you go around and around, and you can purchase until you pass, and then you're no longer allowed to purchase any items. When one of these items is purchased, things slide down, and a new one comes up, and the these are unlimited up here. Also, at the end of each market, the ones on the very right slide into the truck, and another one fills it in place, just so this doesn't get bogged down. So that's the market phase. Then we talked about the distill phase, where you put everything in your washback, shovel it up, remove 2 cards, see what you got, see which recipes you're able to fulfill. Then the sell phase goes one each to each person individually has a chance to sell in turn order. You can only sell one thing on your turn, although you may have multiple things that you can sell in a round because you've been aging something. Only once per turn, because these labels again are very, there's a bit of a race to get to them. So you can sell one of your things and then everybody else gets a chance to sell, and then if you want to sell something else, you can sell that again. The final phase is the age phase, where you decide instead of selling, you're going to put it in the warehouse to age. You have to have room. You can only age 2 things at a time. And you stick a random flavor card in there and move to the next round. So it's kind of part of that sell phase, but it happens after everybody's sold what they want. Then this moves forward at the after the 3rd round. You're going to get rid of one of your objective cards. So there are some public objectives that that are evaluated after each round, and if anybody qualifies for that, then they will get those points and nobody else can get that. And then there are private objectives. So these private goals here. So there's a nice, in Board Game Arena, there is a nice little part here where it shows everything you have. So it shows what I have in my pantry, storeroom, there's my basic barrel and bottle. Here are the 3 goals that I have, one of which I will get rid of after the 3rd round. Basically, if there's one that you're probably not going to make, then you'll get rid of that one. And then this is in your wash bag as you're putting things in there, and the various things that you may be storing. So, and then you have your money there. So it's a nice little reference there. A lot of these goals have to do with regions or aspects of the various things. So each of these you can see has various regions and levels. So for example, collect 3 Asia and Oceania spirit labels. These are the ones that look like this red here. If ever one that looks like this gray, this home region, then it functionally acts as your home region, but usually not with some of these uh, public goals, like not home here. They have to specifically be this red label there. So collect 3 of those, or collect 3 labels from 3 different regions. Age 2 spirits in a single round. That's when you have to when you have 2, you're basically your warehouse full. Or collect a bronze, a silver, and a gold tier label. So those are some of the public ones, and those change each. And then you have your individual goals as well, and so forth. You can kind of read what those do. And those 4 phases continue through the 7 rounds until the end of the game. But let's look at what a round might look like, and then we'll talk about end of game scoring. All right, we're here later in the game, specifically round 5, and this player is about to do their distilling. You can see a few things. First of all, they are aging 2 whiskeys currently in their warehouse, and you can see what's the ingredients that are in there. So they've got their grain, they've got flavor cards. This one's been aging for 3 rounds, this one for 2. So three there, and the barrel that they're aging it in, and they're just letting it sit until they eventually sell that at some point for big money, hopefully, and big points. They also used up 2 of the labels, so because this character got that whiskey ingredient recipe quickly, they were able to kind of take away those 2, and now there's only 1 whiskey option left. Note that the soju, there are no labels left on that. It looks like one of the other players, yeah, this player here took all of the soju pretty quickly, and they decided to kind of focus in that. They also, in their pantry, it shows what this player has available based on the things that they bought. I think they spent most of their money working on getting a new recipe list. last rounds. They don't have too much, and it says here are the distillable recipes. They can do kachaka and or just vodka, and basically they can select which ones they want to include in order to create a drink. Now note, there's this alcohol one card in their pantry. Basically, if that's one of the ones that's pulled off during the uh, shuffling phase, then you can use it as kind of a wild, as either a yeast or a water when you add it to your pantry. But again, each plant sugar is going to add an additional alcohol card the uh, into the mix. There's also kind of a little detailed here. You can trade with the basic market. If you have something that's like a premium ingredient, but something went wrong and you really need another grain or another yeast or water or something, you can trade out one of those premium ingredients, put it on the truck, and uh, pull out and take a basic ingredient that's worth less than the one you traded in. Just in a pinch. But that's what that trade with basic market is. Otherwise, you select the cards you want to distill with. You can select all. You don't have to do a distilling round if you don't want, but it's probably recommended to try to do at least get some moonshine in there. But if you don't have 3 cards, for example, you may have to skip. And so this person selects all of those. 2 of them are pulled out. Unfortunately, one of them was the sugar, and so the only thing they can make in this round is moonshine, because that's the only things left in there, if you noticed. But they still get the moonshine label. They can still put it on one of these and get either 2 points or the uh, bonus for that. I forgot to mention this bonus here is basically letting you take this special signature ingredient, which is what you use to make your signature recipe. If you don't have to use it. For this one, for example, you could just use a regular rye, but if you use it with this, you get extra points and money. So if you're going to make that signature recipe, try to use it with that signature ingredient, and that's how you get it. So in this case, they just have to choose moonshine, which they put in a barrel. They'll get some money for it, but it's not great. Maybe they'll sell one of their aged whiskeys here to get some more money. So here, let's go and we're going to, so now this player here is going to do their own distilling. They did lose one of their sugars too, but they were able to still distill gin from that, which was good. And now it's our turn again. Now we're in the sell phase, and we can decide, well, we can sell a moonshine or we can sell one of those whiskeys. Again, we have the whiskey labels already for those 2 whiskeys, so we don't have to worry about that. And the moonshine, there's plenty left. So it doesn't really matter which order we would do it in or if we do it at all. They ended up selling the moonshine. And look, they ended up with 13 points because that moonshine ended up having lots of, what does it show here? I don't know where it showed, but it had various flavors in it. Bottles breaking down, you can see all of the stuff that they were able to sell that moonshine for. Get them a lot of money so they can start buying some extra upgrades and premium ingredients for the next round. So it was worth aging that that whiskey in order to get the bonuses there and get that flavors. All right, so then we're back to the buy phase and so on and so forth. Here are some of the goals that have been collected already. Currently, we don't have any. This player doesn't have any upgrades, but you can see some of the other players do have upgrades already. And then at the end of the game, you'll total up your points, which are you get points along the way. You can see these points along the way. And then you also get points for some various collecting things that you have. So at game scoring, if you collect, or if you have two labels from the same region, 3, 4, 5, and so forth, or from 3 different regions, you look at your goals, you see if you've fulfilled those. You can turn money into, I think, 5 coin into points. There's a few other ways to get points as well. And whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. So each round, buy ingredients, mix them up, take 2 away. So try to plan for that. Don't push your luck too hard. Sell it or age it, then move to the next round. Buy more ingredients and so on and so forth. Make sure you learn the recipes. Make sure you pay attention to the labels, and make sure you're paying attention to who's getting these bonuses and when. And that's how you play Distilled. Hope this was helpful.